Good morning. Sorry for those technical things. Please, the technical team, do arrange things with the sound. Does it work? So, good morning. It's the 103rd day of Ukrainian resistance, and Mediacentru Ukraine starts the day with an information friend. Today, the country celebrates the Journalist Day, and we have great people as guests today from the heroic region, from Kherson region, from the city, which keeps resisting even under the occupation. And let me invite Svitlana Dumynska, head of the Office for Cultural Affairs of Kherson City Council, to the stage. Svitlana, you're welcome. And please tell us why you have come and what you would like to tell us. Thank you, dear colleagues. So first of all, I would like to congratulate all the journalists of Ukraine on the occasion of their professional day, professional holiday, because that is really a very serious front line where the journalists of Ukraine are now standing. A lot is being done, a lot has been done, and I wish you good luck in your work and definitely our victory, because it is thanks to you and thanks to your information and effort and you're risking your lives that we are coming closer to victory. We used to say these things and they seem to be high flown phrases, but now it's really true. It's a tragic and mainly heroic truth that you're conveying to the audience. So I'm welcoming and congratulating all of you. We have decided to gather here today in order to tell about the resistance of the occupied Kherson region, because you know that it was got under occupation on the very first days of the war. And with every day, the situation is becoming more and more aggravated. But people are resisting. People are really resisting, in spite of the fact that at the beginning these used to be rallies. Nobody was afraid, and no invaders expected that Kherson region would resist and would not accept them. But after they started using weapons, after they started firing on people and using grenades, of course, there were not that many participants in those rallies, but the partisan movement is becoming stronger and stronger with every day. And the way people are resisting now is exactly what they are doing, not to cooperate with the invaders. They are really doing their best to show that Kherson is Ukraine. There appear to be some brochures, some leaflets, in spite of the fact that this is dangerous. And at some point of time, uh, blue and yellow flags and ribbons appear in the city. Nobody knows when they appear or where from they appear, be it in the day or in the night. There are a lot of people who don't want to collaborate with those who have occupied our territory on a temporary basis. It is becoming more difficult because people cannot evacuate. There has not been any single green corridor for people to evacuate. It's impossible to bring drugs there. It's also a problem with money and a problem with the fact that it's impossible to connect to the internet to clarify what is happening with their relatives, even in the territory of Kherson region in the villages. And these are really heroic people who are not losing their hope. And every single message coming from them shows this. When we claim that the flag of the Russian uh, Federation is just called kind of rugs, and when somewhere this flag is taken away, and there appears as a message about that in Facebook, you cannot even imagine the number of likes that these posts gather. Today, we may also claim that the civil journalism is working, but besides civil journalism, it is the journalists of Kherson region that are now in the uh, front line of this fight. And I will not keep providing you with information, but I can read a text sent to me by a journalist who is still staying in Kherson region. Of course, we cannot tell the name of this person and we cannot tell where she is employed, but she has allowed me to make this small text public. So please, let's listen to it. How do journalists in the occupation work? They pretend they are not there and keep working. I work as a correspondent of the Central TV channel. Of course, I have not left, and that is a matter of principle for me because people need to know things. People need to be told things. There is scarcity of information, and on the first days of the war, we actively um, told in live broadcast what was happening in Kherson city and region. There was a lack of official information, but we gave calls to all the people in Ryan and district centers, asking them for information and told all the information from the local residents. People really needed it badly to know what was happening, but it's difficult to work for TV guys because we cannot make any videos. It's dangerous. And we have already hidden our cameras and we are just doing this with our telephones. We still can do this in the city, but we cannot go to the region. And even if you leave, that doesn't mean that this material will be broadcast because you're going to be stopped at the checkpoint, your telephone will be checked, and you will face problems. That's why I give calls to people who live in the villages. I ask them what is happening there, ask them to make some videos. But I do realize that the village is under fire and people don't have time and they are shocked they cannot make those videos. They cannot send what they have shot because they don't have the internet. So if I at least can provide some information for Kherson, that's a real problem for the region. And sometimes we take information from social media and use these materials. Now we develop short forms, quick information plus a video. And of course, my plots are not in my voice and are not signed by me in my name. And that was a pause. And you know, people don't want to appear in the videos. They are afraid. Um, a lot of people are volunteers. A lot of people are doing great things. HCPs are doing a great job, but they don't want to appear in the videos because they are afraid, and we respect their opinion. A long pause. And you know what I would like to add? I really trust the armed forces. I believe that Kherson region will be liberated, but people need to stand somehow. And I do my best, and even a little bit more, to achieve this. And now my greatest dream is to make videos about the liberation of Kherson region. Thank you. So that's why I would like to tell everyone that such a small essay of just one person, of a brave journalist who is now staying in Kherson region and keeps telling about this, inspires us not to stop, inspires us to keep working and all together make our victory closer to us. Thank you. Please stay here on the stage and we could also show the video by the founder of Ukrainsky Pivdень, Lydia Grigorieva, who was under occupation but managed to leave that place. Please, let's have the video. Welcome to everyone. To live in the occupation, please give more sound. To live in the occupation is very difficult because your city and streets are destroyed. And it's even more difficult to work there because it's just the illusion of silence. People keep disappearing from the streets and from their homes every day, and the fate of a lot of people is still unknown. To live in the occupation for a journalist means changing your residence. This means that you go to the streets and try to record either with your eyes or with your phone as if you can do this, the things happening around you. But Kherson people are really great people. Every night more and more Ukrainian symbols appear in the streets of Kherson because Kherson residents want to live in free Ukraine, independent Ukraine. A lot of journalists are still staying under occupation, and we need to think it over how we could help them to leave the occupied territory, to think about the Green Corridor, to think about financial assistance be provided to them because it's both dangerous and expensive to leave Kherson region. and all the equipment of all the editorial offices are lost. For example, we have lost everything, and our editorial board launched the Ukrainian Pivden TV studio in 2014, and on the 7th of June we had the first plot about the development of communities. Now it all has been lost, but we keep working at the information front line, telling how communities are fighting the Russian invaders, how Kherson region and the south of Ukraine live now. We are working on the new series of the movie The Illusion of Silence, which will definitely end in the liberation of Kherson by the armed forces of Ukraine. Please remember, uh, Kherson region are Ukraine, and Ukrainian South will remain Ukrainian. And this is me, Lilia Grigorieva. Let me invite Olena Pimienova, head of the media unit of the Media and Public Relations Department of Kherson City Council, to the stage. Olena is interesting for us because a week ago she was under occupation and she managed to get liberated. So please, Olena, tell us what occupation stands for and what does occupation stand for journalists. Welcome, dear colleagues. Congratulations on the occasion of our professional holiday, and I wish all of us only one thing to, as quickly as possible, publish and broadcast our great news about our victory. As far as occupation is concerned, we keep working in the remote mode. We keep informing the residents of the city. We still have a lot of readers from the region. Those who still have the access to the internet may get official news about the standpoint of the city authorities, of Ukrainian authorities. And as far as life in the occupation is concerned, that means that you cannot go with your phone to the streets because you have a lot of contacts there, contacts of officials, friends, reporters with well-known names and surnames. You've got a lot of photos there, which are from her son, venues. You can never be sure that this telephone is not going to be checked or taken away. And when we were leaving, I had to fully free my book of telephone numbers and a lot of pictures, the picture gallery. Though I like to make pictures of our region and of our city. At the first checkpoint, when we were leaving the city, the invaders had the lists. They were checking people against those lists, and there were two lists. The first list was about ATO participants and law enforcement agencies, and the other list was about the reporters. In my bag, I had my card that I'm the member of the National Union of Journalists, and I had that embroidered shirt, and I decided to take it with me. So I understood that nobody could assure me that I would still remain alive. There were about 60 checkpoints all in all. We had to spend one night in the field, and in the night we woke up because several trees from us, Russians started shelling at the positions of Ukrainian armed forces. But the whole bus was extremely happy when we heard that the armed forces were rebuffing the enemy, repelling the attack. The last checkpoint was with Kadyrov guys and people from Dagestan, and they told us that we need to show everything, all our phones, and I had my laptop, of course, cleared of all the important materials, and I was just praying for them not to find my embroidered shirt and my journalist card. We had rather a lot of things, a lot of bags, and they were densely packed, and somehow they didn't find the embroidered shirt and the card. So I was lucky. A lot of people are disappearing from the streets, including journalists. Unfortunately, according to my information, there are some representatives of Kherson internet editions who have started collaborating with the invader. Let me not mention those names. And they have started actively working for the invaders. There were also some with pro-Russian views shown even before the war. They started being honorary journalists, but they are not journalists at all. I think that um, they have written some certificates and they are a shame in our profession. Journalists are beaten and tortured. And even in the telephone talk, you cannot confess that you are a journalist. It's really dangerous. Luckily, I didn't have any threats, but I know that our press center um, was threatened, and they told that everything would be fine with us if we supported invaders. But of course, we didn't even think about that because Kherson used to be, is, and will remain Ukrainian, the same as the region. The events which impressed me the most was abducting of Oleg Baturin, who was tortured, really tortured. Either they wanted him to collaborate with them or for him personally to support the pro-Russian direction and the invaders, but luckily he was let go. And I also know about the abduction of the editor of one of the sites from Nova Kakhovka, and then there was a video made with him that he was happy about the arrival of the invaders, but that was not true. So, and there are no pro-Russian moods in Kherson. I mean, all the invaders really expected to see them, but that's not the case. Thank you. We will then go over to questions and answers, but let me also invite Oksana. I cannot name her because her family is staying under the occupation, and she, together with her colleagues, will read their address of the journalists of Kherson region to their colleagues from the whole world. Yeah, you may go to the stage since they're going to read it all together. Good morning. Maybe it's not according to the scenario, but I think that we should have a minute of silence to commemorate those of our colleagues who have already perished in this full-scale war. And we have to wish good health to those who were wounded. And we want to also wish safe return to their homes for those who are captives or who have disappeared. Let's have a minute of silence. In Kherson region, we have decided to address journalists from all over the world, and let me read out this address. So, dear colleague journalists from the whole world, on the day of our professional holiday, we, Ukrainian journalists from different parts of Kherson region who are forcefully staying in Lviv and other cities and countries, are addressing you with an appeal to disseminate true information about the temporarily occupied Kherson region. Kherson region is invincible. Um, for more than 100 days, it has been under occupation of the Russian army. 94% of the territory are under occupation, in spite of their peaceful rallies of resistance and opposition to the army. The pressure was becoming um, stronger and stronger, and a lot of reporters were tortured. A lot of activists had to stay in the region for safety reasons, and over that period of time, there has not been any single green corridor for people to leave their government-controlled territories. Kherson region is without connection for a week, with no mobile operations, with total control of social media communication and telephone communication. They are trying to take away the voice of Kherson, but they will not take away the soul. We are Ukrainians. It's still too early to be tired of the war. We are urging you to tell more and more about the conquered Ukrainian Kherson region and disseminate the materials from Kherson reporters, because this inspires people living in the occupation. Let's make our victory closer, realizing that in the territory of our Ukraine, we are fighting for the value future of Europe. Do urge the authorities of your countries to decisively support Ukraine and to ensure global isolation of Russia. Speak about non-availability of green corridors right from the first days of the full-scale aggression of Russia. Address international institutions that can affect the humanitarian crisis created by the Russian forces on a forced basis. A lot of reporters are behind bars. A lot of them demand psychological assistance, and we are sure that together we will win in this arrogant and brutal information war. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes, the journalists of Ukrainian Kherson region. Thanks a lot. In case there are any questions from the audience, we can take the questions. Please give the microphone. Єлизавета Поробцова, Перший Західний. Please, could you tell us how are people abducted there? Because we know that journalists are rather cautious, but uh, how were they taken captive, if that could be called that way? Well, you know how it happens. I know several examples. People were lured by their friends, like a friend gives a call, let's have a meeting, there is some information available. The person went away and was never to return again. These people have been staying in unknown places with no connection with the relatives, and they are interrogated, tortured over all that period of time, and if they are lucky enough, they are just let go. This is about the cases I know of. Because, of course, we cannot tell about the exact number of the people who have been abducted, journalists who have been abducted, but we know that these are tens of people. Quite often there is no connection, there is no communication. So what about the journalists in the government-controlled territory of Ukraine? How do they highlight the information from Kherson? Well, when I finally lost any connection for 10 minutes a day, my relatives can still find Wi-Fi and get connected to me, but it is dangerous because all the operators are going via Crimea. So just to tell that the situation is rather calm, and I cannot even tell them about the Ukrainian news and about the achievements of our army, that the army is closer and closer. Just the code word is that our people are close. That is the only thing I can tell you. There was a question whether it's possible generally to convey the information. Maybe you know something about that. You know, our people are really invincible, and journalists are also invincible. When something disappears and problems appear, immediately some people find a way out. We all know about VPN, and we realize that in Kherson region people are also using VPN, but there are problems with VPN as well, because the people on that side are also taking care of this. But normally we work using VPN. Connection is really bad, the internet speed is very bad, but it's possible to work. Anyway, somehow it's possible to convey the information. And there are also some life hacks like high stories. You go to the 16th story of the multi-storied building, or you are staying close to the river. Well, that happens when we are using some life hacks. Any other questions? If there are no more questions, let us express our gratitude to the invincible team of Kherson journalists for coming to Ukraine Media Center on that day. Ukraine will win. And our next briefing is going to take place at 12, and we will speak to Anna Derevyanko, Executive Director of the European Business Association, and we will speak about the economy and about business.